Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Timothy Adon, composer by day, gamer by night, and welcome to Sonar Platinum. I have finally decided to upgrade from Sonar X2 all the way up to Sonar Platinum, and I decided that instead of doing the videos that I was doing, basically, looking at websites for different DAWs and talking about them, I figured I would do the next best thing, which is just straight up using them and then reviewing them. So I'm starting off with Sonar Platinum, which I own. I bought it, or rather I'm paying for it currently. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about what I see first off, because I have only been using this for like a couple hours now. So I'm going to talk about it, like what I see, what I notice, what I think is really awesome, and what I've used in the past couple hours. And then I'm going to work on a project that needs to get worked on. And then I'm going to do another video talking about all the features, what I like, what I don't like, etc. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to download demo versions of many, not all, but many of the DAWs that I talked about in my other videos and ones that I haven't talked about yet. And I am going to do the same thing with those. First looks, and then work on a project using that DAW, and then give my thoughts on it. Since I already have a background using Sonar X1 and Sonar X2, I already have a fair amount of knowledge with how a lot of these things work. A lot of these things are in the same place. Lots of things look the same. Differences are they have these little nifty menus to kind of condense a lot of the things that really weren't all that necessary, having their own dedicated space, and now it's all kind of just shrunk over here, which is nice. Things that are useful for those of you that don't know. There's the easy punch in, punch out button there. So you just select a region, boop, hit that to select the region, and it's already ready to punch in and punch out. So as soon as you hit record, it'll only record within this region. Let's turn that off. Same thing, there's also the loop function so that it'll just play the same section of a song over and over and over again if you're trying to get really easy repeats of a place that you're trying to EQ or put other special effects on. Obviously, you've got your transport, your current time, and your snap to buttons. Something that is important to know is that I was going through the help menu to try and figure out how easy this would be for newer people. And it's all kind of, unless you're going to do the tutorials, which I would suggest that you do, at least if you're first starting off, everything is kind of hard to find. I had to do a bit of searching to figure some things out. And something that is definitely very important is keyboard shortcuts. I don't know if there's probably a better way to find it online, but if you want to know about keyboard shortcuts, you go to Preferences, and you go Keyboard Shortcuts, Customization. And you can figure out anything that's in bold is something that is currently being utilized. So like pressing B hits the browser view, pressing C shows and hides the main control bar. One that's incredibly important, too far, is S, which is splitting clips at the now time. But something that, like, and then there are of course a lot of these, but unless you already know or you've seen a video where they talk about it, there isn't in Sonar X2 I could hold the Alt key to also get a split function without having to move the now time marker. And so some of those things aren't necessarily going to be noticeable. The other thing is that a lot of these screens tend to take up a lot of space. So unless you've got multiple screens, which I am one of the unfortunate people that does not currently, I need to make space on my desk and actually get a second screen, then you're going to end up condensing a lot of these windows, and sometimes you need to see them. The FX rack, I generally don't need to have access to. This, I used to require lots of access to this, but I'd keep it shrunk most of the time anyways. And the reason I needed access to it is for the effects bin, which they so helpfully put right here now, so I can see all of the effects that I need. So that I can see all of the effects that I need right there without having to open this window up. Another thing that is immediately useful, I had to add some stuff in to actually show this off. Another thing that's immediately useful is the mix recall function, which was not in Sonar X2, so it's at least new to me. I know that this exists in a couple other DAWs as well. This is where you can save current mix settings. So let's just say I want to do this, and I want to do this. Look at how cool that is. This is going to sound great, right? And we're just going to save this as mix1. Boop. That's going to create a new file, and it's going to save all these settings, and then say later down the road, I'm like, this sounds like butts. What if I tried it like this instead? And then I could save as mix2. And then say later down the line, I figure I, have a awful moment and like, no, mix2 sucks. I'm going to go back to mix1. It'll load it up for me. And keep all of the current settings. Tracks and stuff will not change, but it'll keep all automation settings, all mix settings, all effects, all effects settings, and anything. And then it'll try to match what it was in the previous setting. Any effects that you have added that weren't in a previous mix, it'll simply turn off as opposed to delete, unless you reset. If you reset the mix, then it'll delete everything except for the tracks. Other things that are available, you can change your screen layout, which you can also do by hitting the numbers on the top of your keyboard. I just kind of stick with the base one. And then after that, you have all of these other functions. So console view, which is this. Piano roll, this is where I spend most of my time, being that I write music. The piano roll looks a bit nicer, although it's kind of zoomed in a bit. If you insert a MIDI track and select it, you can get yourself a step sequencer. But you can make this as big or as little as you want. And then, of course, once you've made the rhythm that you want, oh man, I'm totally missing. You can then click and drag this, and it'll keep repeating whatever you typed in. Very handy. I have yet to use it, but I plan on using it soon. That was also in the previous version, but I wanted to show it off anyways. And then you have all these other things. Markers, tempos, meter, key, etc., etc. So, as far as this first look is concerned, I am very happy with having the effects right there, because it means that I no longer have to take up space on that side of the screen. On top of that, I'd played around with Melodyne, and I played around with the drum replacer quite a bit, and those are a lot of fun. The drum replacer is a bit confusing to use. Melodyne is a blast, and I can imagine that for sound design especially, I'm going to be using it a lot. A lot more for sound design than I'm actually going to use it for music. And I will perhaps show you a short video on how that functions when I get back to some sound design. Then between that and the mix recall settings and the saving of space, I believe that this is going to be a great DAW. Nothing in the first look kind of stands out aside from what I've already mentioned. Oh, right, that's right. One other thing is the Pro channel. The Pro channel looks almost exactly like it did before, but it now has a lot of reverb effects and a couple other emulation tools that you can add to the strip. These were just VST plugins before, most of them, but some of them are actually now just a part of the channel strip, so you can just add it in and call up all of the effects, which is also very handy because it keeps it all in one place and also makes it look really snazzy. Of course, now my computer is freaking out. So that's what I'm gonna have for this video. The next video that I am going to do is going to be a little bit of a more complete review after I've done some work. I'm going to be working on music for a project, and I've got sound design that I'm doing for a personal project of mine. So once I've done both of those things, I can then have a more complete view of how this functions, and we'll be able to give a more complete review at that point. So I hope this was helpful, and I will talk to all of you later. Bye-bye!